I'm going to ask if we can mute to begin with, and then just in case there are any background noises, and then we can unmute as and when there's the opportunity for questions. Does anybody have any questions about anything before we start? No? So I'm going to spotlight you if that's okay, Andy.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm going to hand things over to you.
Thank you. So if I just briefly explain what will happen. You've had, say, 5 minutes to get used to how I talk, my mannerisms, my personality, just me. So I don't need to explain the process because you all know it. So I'm going to give myself however much time I feel I need. What I'll be doing is I'll be not assessing, I'll be feeling the connection building. I'll feel that urge, that response, that need to speak. And when the guide speaks, you'll just notice a transition between, hopefully, my personality, the way I am, and the way that the guide is. Now, the differences may be subtle, the differences may be more noticeable. You may hear vocal changes. You may see facial changes, possibly clairvoyantly, possibly objectively. The reason I wore a black top is that you may see energy, especially around the neck and the upper chest area. That can often be seen. It's not a guarantee, it's just maybe you will. So the black offers a good background to see any energy if it does form, and you are aware of it in that way. But other than that, I'm going to shut up until they want to speak. Sound like a plan?
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything you want from us before you begin? Apart from participation?
Tell you what I'll do. I will open it up in a prayer. I'll open it up in a prayer and we'll set our intention about how we want to work, if that's okay.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much.
Okay, so great and divine Father, to our dear spirit friends who we call upon to join us in this sacred circle this evening. This evening we seek to work with trance mediumship, and that we ask that those that work with me this evening are motivated by nothing but unconditional love. I ask that the words that are shared are meaningful, are loving in their nature, and that our participants join fully with that essence of love as it moves between us from wherever we find ourselves this evening. We ask for that love to spread from our hearts to every part of our body and to rest in our mind and allow us to feel that presence of spirit as we join in this sacred space, and we leave this space open in your care. Amen. Okay, so I'll just take a little drink of water. I can feel them blending with me. I can feel them coming into my energy. So the next voice that you hear will be one of the guides. Well, what a blessing this is to become part of this gathering. Spirit meeting spirit. Spirit working through spirit. With that power of love flowing from us through the boy to you. My friends, these days are troubling for many upon the world. See only darkness where once there was light. They see anger, repression, and hatred where once there was civility, there was compassion, there was tolerance. You may ask yourself, will there ever be a time when humanity looks upon their neighbor and just sees someone that is there to be loved? When they do not see them as a nationality, when they do not see them as a religion, but when they see them as a spiritual being who only seeks to have life, who seeks to live without bigotry, without being in servitude to anyone for any reason, who just seeks to raise a family, to go to work to provide for their own nourishment. Should these things really be so difficult? Should we really go to the leaders of this world, the leaders of an intelligent society? Should we really be looking for answers such as these? The population has the power to change, to enforce change, to demand change. We cannot let apathy, we cannot let intolerance guide us when we know our true nature is love. We look upon ourselves as intelligent creatures. Humanity has an intelligence. But sometimes from our perspective, we struggle to see where that is. But think about what your true nature is. Before you were an intelligent mammal, you were an instinctive mammal. You lived upon your instincts. You lived to survive, to sleep one night and wake the next morning, to provide food for yourself, to nurture young, and to live a life based upon having your needs met. As evolution has given you more consciousness, more ability to be aware of your surroundings, to be aware of life itself, your place within the universe, your place in humanity. Choices on the face of it are good. but choices can always be manipulated. Mankind in some ways, my friends, has regressed. They have moved backwards, away from a loving state of being to a state of controlling, a state of influencing. Maybe I am influencing you, but I would ask that you use your discernment, your powers of reasoning, to judge not with your mind, but with your heart. Your heart is your true brain. It is the true voice of reason. It is the way that you know what is right for you. Just because an intellectual nature is within your grasp, it does not mean that you understand. You may know the intricacies. You may know the equation for something quite marvelous, but you may not understand how to be loving. There is not an equation for love. It is only a state of being, a state of action. An animal looks after its offspring with love because it is its true nature. We would ask that mankind moves to a state of love. Love is not a romantic concept. Love is who you are. Love is the power that moves through the spirit realms. No matter your vibration, no matter your level of awareness, of consciousness, love is there always, a constant, greater than the air that enters your lungs. If you want to be more spiritual, be more loving. If you are more loving, I would say that you find what it is truly to be human. To be human is to be loving. You know the great joy that enters your heart when you do something altruistic for someone else. When you do something because you want nothing from them. Your charitable nature, your loving nature rises to the top and you feel good. You know that it is how you want to live your life. And yet we have these things that we call emotions. We have this power of reasoning that starts to alter that vibration of love. If we do not see that the love is reciprocated, then maybe we are slightly more drawn to withhold it. Because there is that sense that what I give, you should give. When in fact the opposite is true. Give everything that you can. Expect nothing in return. You cannot be disappointed if you do not expect in the first place. But when we place an expectation upon someone, there is a level to live up to. There is something that you expect from them. And that leads to disappointment. That can then lead to anger, resentment, and suddenly love becomes hatred. Have I made sense to you, my friends?
You have indeed, my friend, and I'm sure that your words and the meaning behind them also is resonating very fully with us all.
Good. Now, does anyone have a question that they would like to ask? And we will do so in the best way that we can.
Thank you, my friend. I will just check. Well, it seems, my friend, as though I'm the only person to ask a question at the moment. How do you see the role of mediumship changing to support the connection between humanity and spirit?
Well, there is a simple bond that we have already spoken about, my friend. That bond of love. That will always be the glue that binds us together. You know what it is like, my friend, to lose someone that you love. We all know that grief can weigh us down like chains around our legs. It can make us feel that we cannot move forward, that life has become stagnant, that we long to be back in the days when we were happy. What you do as mediums is to embrace another aspect of your nature. That is that you are only borrowing the body that you find yourself in. Everyone that you have ever loved was only borrowing the body that they found themselves in. That their consciousness was occupying this flesh and blood form. And through disease or through infirmity or old age, you let go of that body. But you do not let go of you. That aspect of your consciousness is eternal. It returns to your soul to be reborn as another person, should you choose to go through that earthly incarnation process. There will always be grief, because life is constantly changing, constantly evolving. We move from the spirit state to the human form, then we return to spirit. As the caterpillar becomes the butterfly, and then one day it will too pass to spirit. The energy returns to the earth. The spirit returns to the sky. And so the cycle moves on. In times when your distractions are many, we must insist that you do not move away from your spiritual nature. People seek answers from you because you make yourself available to us. You may think we're important, but you are our voice. You are the person that shares the essence, the wisdom, the words, the evidence, all of those things that you seek to know. To be able to know that those that you love have moved in front of you, have come into your awareness, into your energy, that they say to you, I am still alive, I am still well, I still know you, and you know I. This process of transition, it is an eternal process until the time that none of us die. That love is that bond that holds us together. We work with the boy not because he is a medium. He is our spiritual brother. We are here to journey life's experience with him. When he cries, we cry with him. When he laughs, we laugh at him. This journey is one that is walked together, my friends.
Indeed.
Whether we are physically together, or whether the spirit realm is our home, but your home is there on earth, with all the challenges that living a life in a physically restricted body brings you.
Thank
I
you.
think that answers the question, my friend.
It does, in great detail. Thank you very much. And you'll be pleased to know that we do have a couple of questions coming in now. So Jane, did you want to ask your question?
Thank you. So my question was, the Dalai Lama said that Western women will save the earth or save the world. Is that time now? And if it is the time now, how do we do it?
Well, a great holy man
Great holy man.
indeed has a wonderful perspective. But I would question, my friend, why it just would be that the people from the West would save the world. I guess it is a matter of perspective. If he is looking at it from a position of where power is held, then indeed the women of the West could well hold the answer. But wouldn't it be a great shame if we said that the answer was only in the hands of the few, rather than the hands of the many? When we look at the issues of the world, indeed we look at the influence of those who make the decisions, and the fact that we could say that the fairer sex would indeed maybe have a more balanced point of view, that your loving nature, your nurturing nature, would be more conducive to look at things from a more rounded point of view, that you would see things that may be well, if we use the term aggressive male, then maybe it is what is needed. What we see in the world is there are many who seek to say that they are the most powerful, that they are the ones with all the answers, and that they should be listened to. We are talking about states seeking dominance over others, seeking to show that they are the ones to lead the world. But they speak of the mind and the ego. They speak of things that they do not truly understand. When we look at what His Holiness has said, it is a sad state of affairs when someone has to look to the West. And what we say is we look to the East. We look to the East and we see people with far greater wisdom, far greater awareness of what it is to be truly spiritual. These people have lived a life. They have lived in ways with respect for all around them. In many ways, the West is the junior. It is the state where we would look at them and say, why have you not learned from your mistakes? Why do you continue to do the same thing and yet expect a different result? It is about motives. It is about influence. It is about power. And ultimately, it is quite sadly about money. That money that they hoard, that money that they collect, that money that they wave as a taunt at those who are less fortunate, that money won't go with them. They won't take a single cent of their money when they join us. In fact, that they will be so spiritually in debt that they will be paying off their dues for a long, long time. Political power is not spiritual power. We say that as you look to people, see their spiritual power. See what is truly great in someone. He could be a vagrant. He could be a young child sitting on a pile of rubbish in a third world country. And yet spiritually, he could be mighty. And I would say, why can every one of you not be mighty too? The power is truly with the people. You know what is right because you feel it. Truth is not known in the mind. Truth is known in the heart. You know when you have made a bad decision, and yet sometimes we use intellect. We use clever words to try and persuade others that no, the truth is not there. We try to justify ourselves by saying we are doing it for you, when they are doing it for themselves or those of a like mind. His Holiness is indeed a great man, and many blessings would be bestowed upon him from many on our side of the world. For indeed he works in an altruistic nature. He is a man of great intelligence, of great political importance. But when it comes down to it, does he control the strings of the purses and the wallets of those who seek to have the power? He is a powerful, rich, spiritual man. But he has forsaken the material wealth to share another message, that we can be compassionate and rich in our own way. And let us hope that that message is heard, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed for your wisdom and the sheer amount of information within that answer. Do you have time for another question, my friend?
Please continue, my friend. We have plenty of time.
Thank you. Kirsty?
Hello, my friend. It is wonderful to hear your wisdom tonight.
Thank you.
This seems to be a very transitional time. How do you see humanity developing? Do you see us capable of embodying the energy of love in its totality?
Well, I would love to say that I do, my friend. But I am afraid that as we see things at the present time, not a lot has changed in the last 5,000 years. What we have gone from is everyone experiencing life upon the earth in a place of servitude, in a place of being controlled by others around them. And while you may have become technologically wiser, there has always been that ever-present need for someone to be in control of the masses, from someone to be calling the shots, so to speak. Everyone is loving. Everyone has the potential to be loving. But we have to look at our motivation. Are we being loving to be truly of service to others? Or are we being loving to gain service from others? The nature of people is that they seek to have influence over those around them. And if you think back to the times of the Romans, It was servitude, it was control and power in the name of political force. If you go to the Egyptians, was it not the same? That it was slavery and servitude in the name of the few. As we move forward in time, the way in which we coerce those around us has changed, but fundamentally we are putting people into slavery. Technology is becoming the master. Power is wielded by the few over the many. Your earth is becoming more populous. And with that becomes pressure on finite resources. What would change things greatly, my friend? What would bring about a sense of love for thy neighbor? Is to be more circumspect in how you use what you have. If we say that we have 100 apples, but if we are of the mind that we need 5 apples each, and before you know it, not many people have an apple. But if we say to ourselves, of those 100 apples, I only really need a half, then 200 people get to have a piece of apple. At the moment, it seems like you need as many as you can fit within your basket. We save them for another day. You place them in your refrigerator, and then you place them in the bin when you do not eat them. It may seem like a little thing to mention, but when you add up the way that you live your life, when you add up the pressure on the finite resources, then the demand that you place upon the earth is reflected in what you pay. What you pay for the resources is reflected in what you demand to be paid from your employer. You need so much more to have so much more. And then there is less and less, but you get charged more and more. And suddenly it becomes about financial power, the power that you have over your neighbor. If you take what you need and no more, then there is more to go around. The pressure is less on what is remaining. When there is less, then you can find more space within your heart for love, because it does not seem that the pressure is on you for survival. Look at what happened when you thought you would never get into a shop again, when you had your lockdown. People behaved like animals, rushing into shops, buying everything off the shelf. And how many died of starvation? How many people do you know that died of starvation? I would say that there was none. And those goods are probably still in the cupboards. How many people in underprivileged countries die of starvation every day? How many of them would look into our cupboards lovingly and think, if only I had 1/10 of what they have, I would be happy with 1/10. Consumerism, the need to collect, the need for more, as if you'll never see it again. That is what causes you to become self-centered, focused only on yourself. If you gave everything away, you would have nothing to miss. There would be nothing to worry about. In my culture, when someone passed to the Great Spirit, We gave away everything that we had. We gave it to those that needed it more than our family. And it was the way of not becoming materialistic, not becoming attached to what you cannot take with you. And you see that we start to look at people around us, not as our foes, but as our brothers and sisters, in the most truly spiritual way that there is. That your neighbor is not your neighbor, they are your brother or sister. That when they go hungry, it is your stomach that should hurt. That you see them as being a part of yourself. You realize that really you live life with people, not against them. I fear that I have maybe overemphasized the point, but do you understand, my friend?
I do. Thank you very much for your wisdom.
Thank you. A thought-provoking question. It brings us happiness and sadness at the same time.
Indeed, my friend, and I think then in as much as we all have aspirations for a more peaceful world, it seems as though it is indeed quite a mountain to climb to get to that space and that place.
Well, you know, my friend, as we look upon the state of affairs, we must always never lose sight of the fact that the smallest amount of light still has a great power over a vast expanse of darkness. Light is where you come from. Light is the vibration of love. We must always hold that within our hearts, even when the skies seem very grey. When we rise upon our feet into the sky, when we move through the clouds, we see the light. Human life can be likened to living upon the Mother Earth, with the soil under your feet. Living life is like trying to rise above it, to rise above those clouds, to feel the light of love, of the sun upon your face. But what would you learn if you could rise above it all the time? You would learn what it was to find things easy, to live without suffering. Suffering is a great teacher. Suffering leads you to question. It leads you to change. What you see upon the screens today, it is unfortunate, but let us say that those who perish, they are not truly dead. They died suffering, but they are risen again. They are truly eternal. For them, suffering is over. It could be that the ones that are truly suffering are the ones that are left behind. They are the ones that need to think, do I need to change the way that I live? Do I need to change the way that I talk, the way that I think? Should I wait for an example to be set to me? Or should I set the example myself? Whoever inspires you in this world, whoever makes you feel glad, who makes you feel strong, don't emulate them. Be your own version of them. Be the person who will inspire others. Be the person who has gratitude and shows it. Be the person that demonstrates their humility in the face of adversity. You are only an actor in a play. That play is called life. When life has finished, your role has finished. Become a different actor. The opportunities for growth are many, but grow you must. Spiritually, you grow. Mediumistically, you grow. Your nature is so much more than you realize. That inner compass that guides you, it resides within you. It is your inner knowing, your intuition. When you move against it, it is like walking against the tide. When you go with it, it is like being carried with the tide. So whenever you approach life with the issues within it, do you seek to swim with the tide or against it? If it feels difficult, then maybe you're swimming in the wrong direction, but maybe your head has told you to swim in that direction. And then we question whether you are being guided by your mind or your heart, your intuitive nature. Now, what other questions do you have, my friends?
Thank you, my friend. We have just one more question. Julia, do you want to ask it or do you want me to ask it? She's not unmuting, so I'll ask it if that's okay. So Julia's asked, do some souls choose to incarnate with no knowledge of the spiritual connection to be part of their journey in that lifetime? And can they deliberately choose to be unconscious of their spiritual essence?
Well, there is an interesting conundrum here, really. Because if you all come from spirit and you choose to go to the earth and experience a life that is right for you, to have an experience that on the face of it would seem to be disadvantageous, there is great learning in not knowing. We could say that ignorance is bliss, but not everyone wants to experience life as an enlightened being. Great learning can be had from experiencing life from a very self-centered point of view, where you are not seeking to become something that you are not. You can seek to just muddle along, plodding along, where you don't seek to answer the big questions, you don't seek to make a difference. Think of what you learn by doing this. Because when the soul becomes one again, when you seek to become whole, the perspective of a person who has never asked a challenging question, that is part of your soul's knowledge, your soul's evolvement, its evolution. We do not all have to be looking to the skies, wondering where we came from. Sometimes it is right to just look at the ground and notice how many toes are on your feet. Great happiness can be had by not seeking to evolve in any way. Sometimes the evolution of the soul is incredibly frustrating and complicated. So you could say that there is great wisdom for someone that wants to live the most simple life possible, the one of least distractions. After all, in the evolution of mankind, what is 70 years amongst 7,000? It does not matter. Imagine you lived 70 lifetimes, and every lifetime was 100 years. Think about how you would describe 70 different people. If you know 70 people, think of the ways in which they are all vastly different to you. Think of everything that they have learned. Think of all the questions they have ever asked. Every thought that has ever gone in their mind. Now imagine those 70 people are all aspects of you, all personalities of one soul. Think of the great richness, the diversity of thinking and understanding as that soul comes together with all of that collective wisdom. This is what your life is, collecting wisdom, coming to a conclusion. Because if you approached life with the knowledge that your soul has, what would you truly learn? What would you learn if you already knew the answer? You have a plan when you come to this life. But there's a personality as the person that you are right now. You are not privy to the plan. Because where would the fun be in experiencing life? If you had decided to live to the age of 80 and then pass to spirit, if you had an awareness of that, when you were 79 and 364 days old, I imagine that you would not be smiling very much. You would be looking at the clock, counting down, tick-tock, tick-tock. Maybe tomorrow is my last day. Or maybe in 6 months, or 9 months, or 1 year. It is good to not have all the answers, my friend. It textures your soul. It challenges you, your thinking. And what a wonderful place it is because of this. Have I answered your question, my friend?
I think you have indeed, my friend. I think Julia's question was very widely answered, so thank you very much. I just have one question, and it's about you, my friend.
Yeah.
Obviously, you choose to work with your medium, and what are your aims in working with Andy and supporting, I suppose, humanity? What do you wish to accomplish with your work?
I wish, my friend, is the growth of him as a person in every way that is possible. It is to texture his soul. It is to bring into his awareness a new way of thinking, to challenge him, to fill his heart with love, to allow him to know that he is loved, and to feel the reality of it. It is to reunite people with those that they thought were lost into the mists of death. It is to bring thoughts to challenge you, to make you think and consider. It is to reunite us with you. We work with the boy, but we work with many. He is merely one mouthpiece among many. We seek to have a voice with those who would give us the opportunity. As we have this life with him, in many ways we are reunited. We seek to return this journey that we call life with the boy, a great brother, a friend. Maybe once we were his students, and now in some way he is ours. But most of all, He is just our friend. We love him like he loves us. That is what we seek to do, be an expression of love in every way that is possible. And when that reunion comes, then we return to the bodiless form and make our plans for our next journey together.
Thank you, my friend. That's truly beautiful. We don't seem to have any more questions, so I would just like to say thank you very much for sharing your time and your energy with us this evening. And if there are any last words that you have that you wish to share, then we would deeply welcome them.
First of all, my friend, as you go on your journey of learning, your journey of discovering truly who you are, what makes your heart sing, look into the mirror and love who you see. Love what you see. Love all of the wrinkles. Love all of the things that make you who you are. Don't be afraid to show people. Be that ambassador. Not because we look back in time at those who were inspirational to us, but because we can be inspiring to others. We seek to be who we are. Be who you are. And seek to walk that path that fills your heart with joy. It is right that you should live a life that allows you to feel that inner knowing that you are truly being who you are meant to be, irrespective of the opinions and thoughts of anyone, including us. Be that person that makes you smile in the morning. Now, for all of you, moving forward, you may say, what is my purpose? What should I do with my life? And I could say, do something wonderful. Become a prime minister or a president. Or I could say, become a great spiritual master, a master of mediumship. I could say, be a tutor, be a student. I could say many things. But what I will say is be happy with your choices. Do what feels right for you. There are many ways to live life, but one way that you should not live it is under the words and the force of someone else. You were born into a physical form, into a family. You became a spiritual being incarnated. And that is where the challenge started. Life is tough. Life seems brutal at times. And yet there are moments where the tenderness of a human being is a sight to behold. There are moments when a mother looks into the eyes of its child, and you know that love truly exists. Do not lose sight of what makes your heart sing. Do not live for others, live for yourself. Live always with respect for others. When you speak, speak kindly. When you look at someone, look at them not with your mind, but with your heart. Look at them with love. If you do not understand them, do not use your own ignorance as an excuse. Stay quiet and seek to educate your mind if you do not understand. Life is a wonderful journey if you choose to allow it to be so. Follow that inner voice, my friends. Allow it to gently whisper into your ear. Thank you to my dear friend for bringing everyone together. Thank you for listening to our humble words, and we hope in some way that we touch your soul and that you seek to walk from your rooms and do the same with others. Be kind always, be loving always. Most of all, be you always. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, my
We
friend.
will return the boy to you.
Thank you. You okay, Andrew?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm good. Ah, my goodness. A lot
Thank
of
you.
emotion. A
Yeah.
lot of emotion with that.
Yeah. A lot of power, very present, and some really insightful information.
Yeah,
And
fantastic.
some very, very wise and significant words were spoken as well. So thank you very, very much for sharing that space this evening and allowing us to be part of that.
It's our pleasure. Our pleasure. It really really feel the essence of how we wanted to speak. Really did.
And
Just from my point of view, I don't know. I'm saying that. I don't know what you felt.
no,
But that's
I
just
think
how I felt.
through all of the questions and through all of the words that he gave, the theme was love. Yeah, and it showed itself in every single answer to the questions that were asked, in every aspect of the communication that was shared. So and that was very tangible and very, very present indeed.
Good.
So I'm gonna just ask if anyone has questions for you, if that's all right.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, I was going to say I'm in no rush. I'm happy to talk all night.
So does anyone have any questions for Andrew about trance, about how he works? Are there any questions you'd like to ask about, and get Andrew's advice or tips or guidance?
I'm going to sit there now. I got nothing.
Yeah. I have a question.
What's that?
To you, Andrew. Did it surprise you when you started to have your guides speaking through you and the type of information that they were sharing with you? Or was it something you were already within that vibration personally within yourself?
I suppose it did, because I didn't go into it wanting to develop trance. It kind of developed me. So it's kind of what's the easiest way of saying it? When you can kind of feel like the urge, the pressure to speak. It's like there is a voice inside you that wants to come out. That's what I felt, but I didn't know how to get it out. So I would feel them. I would feel a frustration at not saying what I needed to say, because it hadn't been explained how that happens.
Oh, right. Yeah.
At the time, I didn't have a tutor, and I hadn't met Steve, who kind of explained things and brought clarity to me, to then suddenly go, right, now it makes sense. Because I was having the experiences of the connection, but not the wisdom to know how to use it. Yes. So I felt that urge, but didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And did it build up the trust in the process? Because you were just totally having to work from your own point of trust within yourself as well, weren't you, in that situation?
The trust is something that's the thing that takes the most amount of patience. The whole question of is this just me? That always goes on in your mind. You always question it. You're thinking about it and you're considering it. And would I have said this? Would they have said it? But with that conversation that we just had for however long I spoke, at no point did I have any idea what they were going to talk about. So it is literally a case of they go down whatever avenue they want. And it's your willingness to not want to be in control. Yeah. That's what makes the difference between being connected and trusting and being connected and controlling. And you don't want to be controlling, because then it's like, I want Julia to be part of my experience, but then I hold you at arm's length.
Yeah.
That isn't it. It's like trying to give you a hug from the other side of the room.
Mm.
Technically it's happening, but the experience isn't real. Yeah.
Thank you. Can I ask, Andrew?
Yeah, of course.
If somebody was having a challenge with their voice, because obviously I think for lots of people, that's a step that can sometimes be a bit challenging to bridge.
Yeah.
What advice would you give them?
When you say they're having a problem with the voice,
so they know the connection with spirit is there. They know the words are there. But they're having there's that block between actually allowing the speech to happen.
Okay, so the easiest thing is, the reason there will be that block is because almost certainly you think that the spirit world are going to start that communication independent of you, or that's what you want. This if we can use the term the secret is to know to start the conversation yourself. And by starting, it is like you've turned the key to the motor. And once you start the engine, then your spirit friends can start to do the driving. But it's like getting in the car, putting the keys in and waiting for the spirit world to turn the keys without you understanding that you need to do it for them. Yeah. That's the thing. That is what held me back. I spent a lot of time sitting in the driver's seat, just too afraid to turn the key. I know it's a weird analogy, but it kind of fits because visually I get it.
It's a really, really perfect analogy, and it makes total sense because we do have to start that process, and then it flows. Has anyone else?
Well?
Yes, Jane.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Andy, when you were speaking, when you started, you spoke so fluently and such vocabulary, and the examples and the analogies, and they were just coming straight so fluently, so quickly, and it was like, I'm going to have to watch this again to get all the information that you were giving. Yeah. But has it always been like that for you?
No. At times I struggled to say much more than hello, it's nice to be here. It really did start. You have to kind of imagine that it's like me and you having a chat now, and I go, so what do you do? And you say, oh, I'm an Olympic athlete. And I go, oh, what do you do? I run the 1500 meters in whatever. And I said, oh, have you always been like that? And you say, well, no, I started running when I was 10. So we use that analogy that I then say, technically, you're the same person, but you weren't the Olympian before you did the training. You were the Olympian after it. You became better at what you did, better and better, quicker and quicker, more adept at it, because when you understand the process, and then when you accept the process, and when you start to use it day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, you then get to that stage whereby it becomes like second nature. It's like you don't think about how to put the kettle on or how to drive if you're a driver. You don't think about how to write a sentence in a book. And yet, can you imagine putting a pencil in the hand of a 1-year-old and just going, give them they would look at it like it was lava. Whoa, what is it? But as time goes on, they would understand how to manipulate it, how to use it, and how to create something beautiful. And then before you know it, you've written poetry or you're Shakespeare. And so the point is, understand the process. Use patience and time. Some people literally want to flick a switch and off we go. I'm a trance medium. You're all trance mediums to varying degrees. And that comes down to proficiency. It becomes down to your understanding, your willingness to let go of the need for control, your ability to know that even when you hear those words coming out of your mouth, part of Andy was in everything that was said. At no point was I unconscious at all. So if I'm not unconscious, it means I'm aware by definition. The difference is, it's like a game of tug and war. In the early days, it was like that center point, you have a little flag hanging down on the tug of war rope. It was like that flag never really moved in either direction. There was an equal resistance from both sides. They were trying to pull me that way, and I was trying the same amount to pull them the other way. I didn't want to let go. So what happens is, after a while, you stop wanting to fight it so hard, and they exert more control, and then that line starts to move much closer to them. So you find that it's them that are influencing the conversation more and more. And so if you use like a line, imagine like if you were looking at a cross section of an ocean, and when you look at the top of the wave, that is you in control. And when you look at the very bottom of the wave, that is spirit with the best connection they can have. As the connection goes, it's up and down all the time. That wave is constantly moving, and you are gaining control, and then you're giving it up and regaining it and giving it up. And what I'm trying to do is go down that wave and get to a point whereby it's fluctuating. I know it is. I can feel it. I know I'm gaining control, and then I'm letting go. So that line stays quite constant. And then eventually, when we've come to the conclusion and we go, right, we'll bring him back, it's like I ascend that wave again, and then I become fully conscious. So the trance is never like get to an edge, fall off, they do all the work, then rise to the top, and then you finish. That is honestly how I thought it was. I thought that that's how trance worked. I waited to be unconscious. It never happened. I was frustrated, ended up at the college. And before that I did get the gist, but you end up speaking to people that know what they're talking about, and then suddenly you go, damn it, that's why I did it wrong. That's why I wasn't making progress. What was the question? I forgot the question now.
The question was the fluidity with your voice, and did it happen straight away?
Yeah.
But I think it's a general misnomer, isn't it? That once the trance happens and happens properly, you're gone, you're totally out of the equation. And it's not the case. It's always that little bit of a balancing act, isn't it? Between really stepping back and surrendering more, and it's always a balance.
And the weird thing is, just come back to the voice, because it is an important one. Now, if you really feel the connection of your guide and you feel that urge to speak, then speak. Now, the issue is when you suddenly, you can feel the tone of your voice changing because the guide is exerting more influence upon your voice box. And so you're thinking, my voice seems to be a lot deeper. Oh my goodness, what's happening? And you can immediately go, oh no, that sounds really bad. That sounds weird. And it may be that like you feel really shouty, and it's like you're booming the voice out. Your guide is trying to tune into you. He's trying to say, right, how do we just push the buttons right to get Jane exactly where we need her to be? And it may be that you talk as you are, but you really feel the guide connection with you, in which case, keep talking. All right. What might happen is you get a beautiful connection, you start talking, you think this is Jane talking, but as you do it, they kind of merge with you, they blend with you, and they can exert more influence. And you may notice vocal changes, but don't see that as a destination that defines whether the trance is genuine. My guides happen to work with me like that. It's usually pretty noticeable. You know when I'm connected to a guide or it's my voice. And that's something else we can talk about. But the point is, it is about the feeling of the connection to spirit, not the voice. Because if I close my eyes now and said, hello, I'm a wise Native American called Silver Bear, blah, 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 blah. And on the face of it, his voice changed a lot. The fact is, the essence of spirit wasn't there, and that's crucial. If you want to have anything, have the essence of your guide with you, if the voice comes, thumbs up. If it doesn't, don't sweat it.
What I loved as well, sorry Nicola, but
Yeah.
I was just say that the expansiveness of vocabulary and the words and the language and all the kind of like, you know, the beautiful flow of it all. And then he refers to you at the end about the boy. I'll let the boy back now.
Yeah.
He's really sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's beautiful richness there, isn't there, with
yeah.
language? Yeah.
Thank you.
He does.
Thank you, Andy.
They do. They
Thank you.
collectively they refer to me as the boy.
The boy.
And I wonder if
It
they'll
does-
still do that when you're 70.
Yeah, I was going to say I'll always be the boy, but yeah, it did tickle me when I kind of heard them saying it, as I'm conscious of it.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
thinking,
it was
"Oh,
amusing.
the boy.
The boy.
But yeah, I mean, it's obviously said with great affection, but
yeah, for
it's,
sure. But when they're talking about consumerism and everything else, and then they say, right, I'll bring boy back now.
that surprised me. I've never known them to go off on a tangent about consumerism before, so that was I was kind of wondering where it was going to go.
And it was quite interesting because there was a slight shift in energy at that point as well, Andy.
Yeah, different guides started talking.
Yeah, and you could almost see, because there were elements of the guide that had been present, but there were just slight changes, and you could really feel the difference in the energy, and there was a real passion that was coming through at that part as well. So
yeah, he's a little bit more when he wants to make a point, I get the feeling, I'm kind of like, right, sit back and brace yourself type feeling, because I know when he starts to connect with me, I know that he wants to almost force home that point, and because it means something to him. And so he doesn't speak a lot, but when he does speak, he's got something that he wants you to listen to.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that was a great observation, because that's how I felt, and I thought, oh, hello. So it's
Bye,
like,
boy.
it's like pin your ears back.
Yeah, it was quite a distinct difference. Has anyone else got any questions for Andy?
Just got an observation, really. So before you just before you started to speak, and it was 1919, I looked at the time, saw an orb come straight into you, so across your body and into your throat. Really
Don't surprise me. That's why I like to wear that, because then if you do see it, you'll notice it against the black background.
With flash.
So yeah, that is yeah, I've got a video somewhere of, I've got Jan, there's a lady, Jan Higgins, who I'm doing in America with, and yeah, of course you'll know her from Cobra. I got her to watch me on Zoom when I was in the cabinet, and she's really spookily connected. So as she was watching me in my seance cabinet, she said, oh, there's a Native American gentleman has now kind of, she saw him move forward. And at that exact time, we then got it on video. You saw this bright white flash, and the correlation of what she saw and what she witnessed and that white flash at the same time, completely in tandem. And you saw that reaction, and that was at that exact moment I remember feeling the guide making that connection, and then she come out with the conversation almost perfectly in tandem. So it is interesting when we see these flashes. They're not just like a light anomaly. They're obviously, as we find in here, the lights and the flashes and that they bring, there's more significance to them probably than I realize. But I certainly know that things seem to correlate between conversations, certain things that are said, and then making that connection. So yeah, no, that's a good observation. So yeah.
Nicola gets odd thumbs up, you know, from Spirit when we're on Zoom calls. She gets these little symbols pop up like smiley faces and thumbs up and thumbs down. Really weird.
Using technology in it to communicate. It's
it's strange, because it's not the hand signals you usually get. It's very weird. But they can always come up at opportune moments. Has anyone else got any questions? Anything they want to ask Andy?
Do you ever get tired, Andy? Sorry, when they're talking, you know, because you could have gone on and on and on. You were like a steam locomotive.
In a word, no. No, if anything, I've got more energy now than I had when I started.
Right.
No, it
Brilliant.
doesn't tire me in the slightest. I dare say if I did it for
Because you
hours and
didn't
hours.
almost like did it without drawing breath, except for, you know, between change of questions and
Yeah. No, to be
Brilliant.
honest, because that's the thing that kind of mystifies me sometimes. They go, oh, trance is really tiring and this, that, and the other. And I think, what are you doing?
Yeah, I've
What are
never
you doing
found
to
it
feel
tiring.
tired?
Yeah.
I feel buzzing.
Yeah.
You're probably meant to tell, like a kid that's been fed too many sweets. But I don't feel tired at all. Maybe I will later, but I'll let you know tomorrow. I don't know.
Purely from a development perspective of
Yeah.
Candy, how often do you sit?
Well, I'm working with people several times during the week, and then usually 3 hours on a Sunday plus time on a Saturday. And although it's not necessarily, I don't specifically come in here now to develop trance at all, just me doing trance.
Yeah.
But what I'll do is, even if I'm working with people online, I will then be flitting in and out of an altered state deliberately to want to communicate with the spirit team of the people I'm working with, so that it's not a question of it's not just the question of what do you want to develop and why do you want to do it. It's how does your wishes compare to the wishes of your spirit team, because then that's where there's the disparity between I want to develop X, Y, and Z, and then your team might be sitting there scratching their head and going, but you'd be an amazing healer. And you could say, I want to be a platform medium. And it's about when you're doing things where the origin or the impetus is from here, rather than intuitively. If I said to you, Nicola, you should be this, and you feel the question, and then you go, no, that's not for me. That doesn't feel right for me. Or you could go, bloody hell, yeah, you're right. That really resonates. And so that's part of the reason that I do it. So I guess once you get really proficient at it, it just becomes something that you do without thinking about too much.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I am working in it indirectly, but I don't purposefully come into my room anymore to say, let's sit for trance. Although if I'm out and about, I work outside in nature. So if I'm out and about and I've got questions going on in my mind, I will deliberately send my thoughts to my spirit team and say, why does this happen? Or what's your answer to that? And as I'm walking around, I'll be connecting to them. So you don't have to have a regime. You just have to set your intention, and that does the rest.
But essentially, really, there's a spiritual connection with you every day, isn't there?
All the time, yeah.
It becomes part of life.
It literally does become, yeah, absolutely. I couldn't put it better. It becomes part of your life, and you end up not assessing people. You end up looking at people from a different perspective, because you look at them by feeling their energy before you really look at them in the visual way. I know that sounds a bit weird to try and explain it, but I think about how I feel about people I connect to rather than what I think, the kind of face value. So I think I make sense.
No, you do.
Yeah.
Anybody got anything else? They're all quiet.
Quiet.
Yeah.
Mark has literally not said a word since we started.
I was expecting Mark to ask a question, actually, of you.
I didn't need to. I was sort of being spoken to while Andy was talking, and I was very much connected to the energy all the way through. It's quite funny when you talk about some of your things. I was stuck for nearly 3 years sitting in trance without speaking.
Yeah.
So until I changed tutors, then I was stuck for nearly a year without saying another word. And then I met Nicola, and Nicola's really helped me allow a voice.
Good.
But yeah, it's quite funny how some of your things are similar to a lot of my things as well. So yeah, it's been really interesting night. Thank you.
We're all really similar. There's so much similarity between all of the things that we worry about, all the things that we question, all the things that seem stupid but feel like a massive issue.
Yeah.
And I bet if you ask most tutors, if they've been really honest, the reason that you learn stuff is that you share all of your mistakes. When you share your mistakes with people, that's how they know, firstly, that you're not a machine, you're just as fallible as everyone else, but also you realize that the things that seemed a massive issue for you are actually common to me, to you, and to probably most other people in the group. And then when you feel that, it doesn't seem like you're so just banging your head against the brick wall. And sometimes you just need someone like Nicola in this case to say, how about doing this? And then suddenly a new way of thinking, you know, turns up. It, you know, it appears, and you understand it better. So that's my thoughts for what they're worth.
No, it's been a really fabulous evening. Thank you so much for being so generous with your time and your energy, Andy.
Yeah.
What have you got coming up in terms of courses or workshops?
Courses, I have a beginners intro to trance a week Sunday, and I have a more advanced one for people where there's a lot less hand holding, and that starts this Sunday. Okay. And so they're 6 3-hour sessions. I mean, and it's for folks. I know that you teach it as well, so it kind of feels like I don't really want to tell you what I'm doing trance wise, because I hate talking about myself, especially to other tutors. And so but that is what I'm doing. April next year we've got a retreat at Mine and Abbey Hotel in Wales, so I'll be taking trance for a week, or not a week, it's Sunday to Friday. And then Jan will be having her students sitting in seance conditions for the whole duration as well. That's an intense week. That is intense. You will probably be worked hard if you do decide that that's your thing. So
where will we find details of those, Andy? Because what I'll do is I will put your details in the group so that if anybody
you can find them on
interested.
andrewcodling.com.
No worries. I will pop all that in there, and I hope it's okay if anyone has questions that they wanted to ask you that they didn't want to ask in here, if they just drop you a message or connect with you, and
find me on Messenger or whatever. Send me a message, and look, it doesn't matter whether I'm working with you or not. If you've got questions that you just want to put to me because you're curious, send me a message. I will always answer them. All right. So there's no ulterior motive. Just ask me. Yeah. All right.
And I would say that also with Andy, he's just a genuinely nice guy who works with the very best of intentions. So
I'm my best.
If you do have a question that you wanted to ask but you're a bit hesitant to in here, then do drop him a message, and obviously, and I will put Andy's, if you're not connected with him on Facebook or anything, I will put his details in the group so that if there is any way that you would like to work with him, you have that option as well. So,
correction, Nicola, he's not a nice guy, he's a nice boy.
Nice.
Nice boy, yeah.
Oh my goodness. He's a nice boy.
And having done a day with Andy doing physical mediumship, I would probably say that the retreat in Wales is probably a very good opportunity to deepen the trance or the work you're doing with physical, if that's something that was interesting to you.
Yeah. So look, I mean, guys, you'd be welcome if it's your thing, and who knows. So before we finish, is it okay to close in prayer, just so that we open the circle and close the circle?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay. Great and divine Father, to our dear spirit friends, thank you so much for these people. Thank you for the opportunity that Nikki provided. Thank you for everyone that gave some of their time, their energy and their love to join in this wonderful evening. Thank you for your input, for your guidance, your wisdom. And more than ever, thank you for your love. It matures us, it guides us, and it lifts us. Until next time. Amen.
Amen.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Nikki. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Deeply appreciate your work and your time, and thank you very much. Yeah, it's been a really fantastic evening. Yeah.
Thank you. Right, shall I leave you in peace?
Yep, we'll see you soon, and I'll send you a copy of this so you have it, Andy.
That'd be perfect. Thanks ever so much.
Thank
Lovely to meet you,
you.
Juliet, Jane, Mark,
Bye.
Jane,
And-
and Kirsty.
and you,
we'll
Andy.
speak
Thanks,
again.
Andy.
And you.
See you
Thank
later.
you.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, bye everyone.